Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Estancia Lapacho in South America. I think, yeah, I said last time, I think it's in Argentina. I'm not entirely certain, but I think it's in Argentina. Anyway, the weekly question for this week, we are soon going to be creating a new field. Up there you can see fields 10 and 11, the small ones near the top. And we're going to be building a new field up there. We're going to be chopping down the trees that are up there, and we're going to be combining it together to make a much bigger field than is currently there. And I've just realized that I've got the wrong currency and the wrong... we're on pounds, we want dollars, and we want kilometers. So let's just go to that a minute. There we go. Right, now we can carry on. Yeah, so... we're going to be making this field up there. We're going to cut down the trees that are around there, and then we're going to plough up the land, and we're going to make it into a big field. So that's it. One of our next major tasks. It's not the next one. We're about to go and do that. As soon as we finish making this field just a little bit bigger and giving it the curved natural edge that we want, we're going to be going over and we're going to be starting on the yard and making that bigger and putting down some buildings. Then we can head up to the top and we can start doing those trees. So we're going to get rid of the trees. My question is, I'm going to cut all the trees down, and I'm going to be using a tree harvester to chop them down. But do you think I should chop the trees up into wood chips and then sell, you know, make a huge great big pile of wood chips and then sell them all? Or do you think that I should instead sell all the logs that we're able to sell and only chip up the trees that are not ones that are able to go through the tree harvester? And it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Do you want me to do it with all wood chips, or do you want me to sell the trees that I can sell as whole logs and then just chop up some of them? The reason I'm asking, oh, and also when we do get up there, I'm probably going to use the, you know, that mod that it basically, you just present the tree to it and then it shreds the entire tree all at once. It's a lot faster than anything else that we can use, and I figure it's probably easier. I mean, we could take some of the logs and we could get like a placeable wood chipper, or get the gens... is it the gens one? I can't remember what it is now. Let's just take a quick look in here a second. We could probably get... it's this one here. That one. We might be able to use that one and sort of put that one towards making our big pile of wood chips, but I'm actually thinking that it's not actually here at the moment. I don't have the mod selected. But yeah, I've used it several times, like in the time lapse and that before, and all you got to do is just get the log to the chipper and then it turns it all into wood chips and it blows it all out onto the floor into a great big heap. It's really quick. Yes, I know it's not very realistic, but it is really fast. And then we're able to go and process all the wood chips. So essentially what you can do is you can, when I use something like that, I don't say, oh, this is unrealistic. I say this is actually reducing the amount of time that it takes to do the task. We're not sitting here and watching hundreds of trees being slowly shredded up. What we're doing is we're kind of skipping that stage. We are doing it, we are chipping up the trees, but we're skipping a lot of the tedium, and we're going straight to, then we've got the pile of wood chips and then we need to deal with them and move them. So that's kind of how I look at it when I'm doing it. Obviously that is not going to be for everybody, but that's what I was thinking of doing with the actual trees. Any trees that we do have to shred up is just doing it quickly like that, so that we've got the pile of wood chips and we can deal with that, because we've done wood chipping previously in other videos, and I don't think we really need to go and do a load of wood chipping now. I think it's just going to get a little bit tedious and take up too much time. So if we were to do it like this, it would mean that we could then very quickly get through the wood chipping section of it, and then we've got this pile of wood chips that we need to do something with. And I think that is going to be a little bit more fun to do stuff with than actually making the wood chips in the first place. Now, I've got to do that piece across the top there. I think I'm going to actually sort of stop around here. I am turning slightly, but I'm going to lift and then I'm going to turn. And we're going to keep working across the very top of this. It's not going to take very long to do this little bit along the top here. And then we've just got that angled piece left. There's not very much to do after that. We've done the huge long section all the way up the side of the map. We just lower that one down in there like that. And we can come on up through. So By the time that tractor gets all the way back up here with the cultivating, it'll probably have this little extra bit to do as well. I'm thinking that we probably won't worry about getting all of this broken down with the cultivator as well. We're going to say this is a reasonably light sandy soil that we've got here and not a heavy clay, so the cultivator working over the freshly ploughed ground is not absolutely essential when we've got a bit of a cultivator built into the seed drill that we're going to be using. So hopefully we can sort of do that and it's still within the bounds of believable realism. And that's what I'm aiming for with this series. I'm not going for having to do everything absolutely 100% like we do in real life, because, you know, we've discussed this, and the feedback that I generally get is, yes, it's good to skip out some of those steps, because quite frankly they're boring to do in real life, and we don't really want to replicate the dull tedium of real life in the game. We want to just do the bits that are more entertaining. That's what the game is all about, is finding the bits that we find entertaining. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I think that we're probably okay with this. I do generally, in my time-lapse series, always cultivate after ploughing, because that is what you would normally do. Even if you've got a direct drill, you'd still cultivate after ploughing. But you don't have to all the time. It does largely depend on the type of soil that you've got. Some soils are quite light and fluffy and sandy soils, and they do really well. You can soon cultivate those up. Yeah, if you follow a plough fairly quickly after with a direct seed drill, it will break the ground up enough with a light sandy soil that you're not going to have any issues, and you're not going to be left with large solid lumps. If you've got a very heavy clay soil, then yeah, that is going to cause you problems. You're not going to be able to go straight over with a direct seed drill, because they don't break up the ground very much. They take a little bit longer to do that. So what we're going to need to do is, if we've got a heavy clay soil, then we would actually need to go over it with the cultivator more. And I mean, that's what actually happens in Sandy Bay. Now, I've had people say in the comment section, dude, it's Sandy Bay. You've got a heavy clay soil in Sandy Bay, seriously? If you look at the road signs in Sandy Bay, you'll see that there are names such as Exeter, and I can't actually remember the others, but yes, all of the names on the road signs for places nearby are real places in Devon in the UK. And they are also places where I have actually been and worked. I have worked in those, I've worked in that area, I know that area, and I can say with certainty that that area is generally quite a heavy clay soil. It's clay soil all over the place there. Some of it is a little bit lighter, but generally it is a heavy, water-absorbing soil. It is a bit of a nuisance to work with, and it's not a light soil. It's definitely not a light soil, and if you're ploughing that area up, you would need to work it with a cultivator in order to be able to get anything out of it. So yes, it is called Sandy Bay, but that is the bay. That's the huge, great big beach that it's talking about, not the fields. The fields are not sandy. Trust me on this. Tank is empty for helper N. Yeah, they've actually run out. Oh no, did you run out of seed again? I filled him up with seed just at the start, just before I started the actual episode. I filled that one up with seed, and he's already run out. Canola, you do tend to use up an awful lot, even though the seed is really, really small compared to the others. You do use up an awful lot of seed when you're planting the canola. It does seem to be excessively so. I don't remember using up that amount of seed when planting it. I thought that you didn't use up that much, because you don't spread the seed particularly thick compared to like wheat or barley, but it does seem to be used up faster than wheat and barley. Definitely does seem to be used up faster. And it does seem a little bit strange to me. Right, just pick that one up there. Spin that one over. Right, so we didn't quite finish that section before the tractor reached all the way back up. We've just got this piece here, and then that's most of it. So I'm just going to plough this up. What I wanted to do today was I wanted to get started over on the actual main yard, and we want to get that one done. So if I just very quickly finish off this little bit of ploughing here, we can then go and move down over to the yard and get the actual ploughing bit that I wanted done today done and finished, and hopefully even get a cultivator onto it as well. I've just got this last little bit down here. We've done everything at the top end of the field. Oop, would help if I could steer correctly. We just straighten that one up a little bit and swing it on round. There we go. And we've got that little strip along there, and then another little tiny piece down the side of the field. Everything along the bottom end of the field we got done last time, yesterday actually. Just bring that one in around there. In we go. And yes, excellent, all in a single pass. And as soon as we've done that, we're then heading over to the main yard, and we're going to outline the main yard first using our other plough. We'll use the small plough for that, because we'll be able to do it a little bit more accurately. But we needed to get this done first so that we've definitely got the field all outlined. But there is a couple of other things that we need to do. I need seed over in that seed drill. I need that one to continue on. I don't think we've got enough in the truck to be able to finish off that field. We definitely don't have enough to finish both fields. And then once I've done that, I've also got to get fuel into that tractor over there, because the fuel is almost out. He's got maybe a litre or two left. I'm surprised he actually lasted this long. I thought he would run out of fuel before he ran out of seed, but he didn't seem to do that. And we need to get fertilizer as well. I don't think we got enough fertilizer, and I didn't want to go back to the shop and just pick up a single pallet of fertilizer. I wanted to be able to go and do that, get a trailer load of fertilizer pallets, or fertilizer and seed, get the two of them together and bring those back. So we've got an awful lot that we need to get done in order to keep everything moving, and we're going to have to manage our time very carefully in order to be able to achieve some of this. So I think that's probably enough there. I'm just wondering if I should do a little bit more on that corner. I'm thinking not. I'm thinking it will make sure that we've got enough room so that everything can turn around properly on there. So we'll leave that exactly as it is. Now, I could just leave the plough here, swap over and get into the smaller tractor. I don't think we're going to actually need this big plough down in the yard. I think it's going to be, it's just too big to be getting around. It's going to be very difficult to maneuver it around. So if we just park this one up here a minute, stop right there, we can jump over here and get into the Starer. And we'll run this one down to the main yard. Then we've got to go and we'll put the last of the seed that is in the truck. Actually, no, once we get to the main yard, we'll then take the truck with the fuel bowser over to the field, and we can refuel the tractor there. So that's that bit dealt with. Then we can take the lorry, the truck with the seed, and we can go and refill the seed drill so that one can keep running. Then we've got to decide how we're going to deal with getting fertilizer and seed back up there again. We don't have any down here at the yard. Well, I don't think we've got any seed either. We run out of seed. I think we put all of the seed in as well, so I think we've got none of any of it. We just run. Oh no, we've got 4 pallets of seed there. So we've got plenty of seed. We just don't have any fertilizer, and fertilizer is what we don't have any of whatsoever. So let's just go and grab this one. This truck, I'm not sure it's going to be very easily be able to pull this one. In theory, you wouldn't think it would. Now, I said last week or a couple weeks ago, I actually said that fuel is a little bit heavier than water. Obviously, that was completely wrong. That was just me having a special moment. And fuel is not heavier than water. Water is heavier than fuel, because if you throw fuel onto water, it floats on the top. Yeah? Oil, crude oil, diesel, petrol, whatever, it all floats on the top, so it's lighter than water. Of course, it's lighter than water. So 3,500 litres of water would be 3.5 tons. However, it's not 3.5 tons of fuel. People did tell me the actual weight of it, but I'm not entirely... 8 litres left. We've still got 8 litres. We probably could have been all right. So yeah, people did tell me the actual weight, but I don't remember that one now. But I would guess that we're looking at around 3 tons, maybe slightly under, but yeah, not very much. So we're looking at about 3 tons worth of fuel. Now, 3 ton is an awful lot of weight for that pickup to be towing around, right? It is a bit too much, I think, to be realistically towing. It definitely would not be able to tow 3 tons of weight across a cultivated field, right? It would sink up to its axles, it would go no further, that would be the end of it. It wouldn't happen. So we do know that that is very unrealistic. This right here that we've got, it would not be able to tow that trailer, this pickup here would not be able to tow that fuel bowser full of fuel over this surface. It definitely wouldn't happen. So what we should really do is we should bring it to the edge of the field. It could go here on the hard packed dirt, it wouldn't have any problems doing that, but really it should have just gone to there, and then we should have brought the tractor over to the truck and then refueled like that. We wouldn't have driven that in onto the field. It's bad enough with that truck. However, that truck has got twins on the back, and it's got agri tires as well. It would probably cope with being able to get across the surface of the field. It probably wouldn't be too much difficulty for it. But that pickup over there, no, that wouldn't happen. That's I think in future we will actually try to do that properly, because we shouldn't be driving that one around on the field. That is a little bit too much. You just would not be able to tow it over that. It wouldn't go over that surface. Your truck would just grind to a halt, and then you'd have to go and get something and tow it out. So yeah, we'll avoid doing that in the future. I think we'll make that a little bit more realistic. Now, this here, we've got to decide how exactly we're going to do this. This is what I wanted to get done today, is to get this one all ploughed up, and I'm wondering how we're going to do this. I'm actually thinking that we're not going to go for a dead square edge. I was originally thinking that we would make sure that it was all absolutely square on the edges. But now I'm thinking, no, we won't do that. I'm thinking it will make it slightly more organic with the edges. And I know, if sometimes when you're like pouring a yard, you would make the edges absolute square. Other times, not necessarily. You might just put shuttering, which is, for those of you who don't know, shuttering is where you take bits of timber and you set them all around the edges so that the concrete goes up to the pieces of timber and it won't go any further. It just kind of produces a boundary for the timber all the way around, for the concrete all the way around. And it's called shuttering, or at least it's called shuttering where I'm from. And it's basically what decides what the concrete will go up to. It can go no further, and it gives it a nice, neat, tidy edge. So if you're doing it in sections, you produce a shuttering, and then the next lot of concrete will easily be able to move up to the lot that you've just poured and set in as your yard. So I have previously worked on areas where we've done shuttering sort of curved around the edges, and we haven't produced a square yard. We've actually done it with a more organic curve following the edges of a field. Well, it was originally a field. It wasn't by the time we got there working on it. But yes, I have definitely done it where you haven't had dead straight lines. It hasn't been sort of dead square all the way around. So that's what I'm thinking that we're going to go for here. That's what I've been thinking about while I was sort of planning out how we should do this. This bit here, though, we are going to move back a little bit, and we're going to get a little bit extra concrete on this one right up against the edge of this one, like that. So the concrete would actually go up against the edge of the building there. You would actually have the concrete go right up against the edge of that building. And can I get just a little bit more, just a tiny bit closer? I might be able to. Might be able to. If I can, that would be perfect. So yeah, you would put the concrete right up to the very edge of that, just to the edge of the line there. And if you really wanted it to be a strong join, you would put bolts into that concrete along there before you poured the concrete, and then it would have a good solid join there. I don't think we really need to have bolts there, because we're not driving vehicles into that little shed there. They're not going into it at all in order to do it to be worked on. They're parked out the front in order to be worked on. So the join is not going to be getting a lot of stress. There's not going to be huge weights going on it, because the vehicles are parked slightly away from the workshop, which would make it all right. So let me just bring that one back round there. So we will put concrete out just in a line in front of it, and I'm just going to bring it back round like that and put it down there, and then I'm going to turn round just to do a little piece extra on there. And it's a little strip that we can sort of back up if we want to, and we've got somewhere that we can park vehicles. So that's close enough. I don't need to go down the side of that building there, I don't think. And we'll bring the concrete just straight along the edge here. That's as close as we need to go to the edge of this area, I think. I don't think we need to go any tighter than that. And we'll bring it down there. And then we're going to be running it along the edge of this road. We're not going to be concreting the road as well. If you do concrete the road as well, I mean, you can. We could definitely concrete the road as well and do that. However, if we've just got the yard that we're concreting, it's not going to be seeing a lot of through traffic. It's not going to be seeing a lot of vehicles going over it and over it and over it and over it. It's what it's going to be seeing is just the it's like, you know, vehicles are going to be going onto it, parking up and then stopping. Whereas if we went out and we concreted any more than that, what we'd end up with is a piece of concrete that is going to be getting a lot of traffic moving over it. And whilst it's fine to have that, there's no actual problem with that. It means that it's more likely to get cracked and damaged and worn, and we don't really want that. The whole idea of this yard is just a storage area. So we're actually going to be making the concrete a little bit thinner than we would if we were making it over a road. If you're making it over a road, you do tend to make a much thicker slab of concrete because of the constant through traffic that it's having. But in order to save a little bit of money, we're going to be making this concrete a little bit thinner, and it's going to be over the whole yard, so it will be able to have traffic. But because it's not going to be having frequent regular traffic over it, we don't need to make it as thick as if we were making it as part of a lane. You do actually make the two slightly different. I mean, it's mostly just down to how thick you pour the concrete. So as we do want to save a little bit of money, you know, we're farmers, we don't need to throw money away on a project that doesn't actually need it. So this time we don't need to have a huge thick base, because we're not going to be having vehicles driving through here frequently, as in, you know, 5-6 more times per day. You know, when you're doing silage or something like that, they'd be going through just, well, loads. He said literally hundreds of times they could be going through in a single day if you're doing silage or you're doing something like that. But here in this yard, yes, once a year when you're bringing stuff in and you're bringing the bales in to be stored, yes, they're going to be getting a lot of traffic then, just once a year, but it's not going to be every single day. When you're using the bales up, there'll be some areas, but again, it's reasonably light because you've gone over it with a telehandler. You're not bringing in trailer loads after trailer loads after trailer loads, and so it's more periodic use than regular. And for that reason, we can afford to cut down the thickness of the concrete. So I hope you don't mind. I am planning to have a thinner slab of concrete down here than we would have if we were doing it out onto the road. We could always, at a later date, concrete that road. I know some people do like to concrete the roads, but I mean, I don't think you need to in this climate. We don't get a huge amount of rain. We do get some rain, obviously, but we don't seem to be getting a massive amount of rain. And if you're getting a lot of rain, then yes, it could cause some problems. But as we don't get a huge amount of rain, it doesn't seem to be a need for a concrete road there in order to, you know, the main reason that any farm that I've worked on is put in a concrete road rather than keeping what was already there is to stop the mud being spread around. You know, you get so much mud sort of working up with any kind of normal lane that it's sometimes worth putting down concrete in order to stop that mud being spread around. It can cause all kinds of problems throughout the rest of the yard. So we don't have that issue here, so we don't really need to, we can't really justify putting concrete everywhere. And you've got to remember, it's not just a case of throwing concrete down. It's very expensive stuff. It really is. It's extremely expensive to be going and concreting an area. Right, I'm just going to stop that, and we'll flip this one over, and then we can fold it. You've got to flip it over to this direction before you can actually fold it up for the transport position. So I'm just bringing this one over here. I think we've now got enough room in there that we can actually get in with the other plough and the other tractor. So we're just going to switch over to that one a minute. We're just going to go straight through. We'll see how this one's doing. See, it's already using up that seed. I don't think we've got enough left in that lorry to finish this field. We might have. I'd say it's unlikely. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, really. I was hoping to finish all of it. Yeah, only got 240 litres left. It's probably not enough. Tell you what, let's start up a minute. Let's run over there very, very quickly and see if we can't stop that tractor and get the seed loaded up. Now, last time I did this, it didn't actually let me start up again. I got the tractor over here, or I got the truck over here like this, but then when I went to start it up again, it didn't actually let me. Just back up a little bit more. There we go. Right, that's loaded that one up, but then as soon as I moved away, it didn't work last time. However, it has worked this time. That's excellent. So we'll just fold that one up there. We can turn the engine off as well and do it on hydraulics. It'll be fine. So we've got 322 litres of seed, which is 65% of the tank in order to do that strip. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think we're going to have to go and get more. Luckily, we do have a little bit more left in the yard. So let me just go now through and get our plough. No, still. Oh, there we go. Right. So we'll take this one back over the yard. It should be a lot quicker now just to finish off that last little bit. This plough is well, I was going to say several times bigger than the other one. It's not several times bigger. It's half as big again. This is a 9-furrow plough, and we were using a 6-furrow. So it is, and also actually you can twist this one, can't you? You do have that little twist on this one, so you can make it a little bit wider. And so we've got that as well. So it might be a little bit more than 1.5 times the size of the one that we were just using. So let's just unfold this one, bring it in round, turn it over, and then we are good to go. So we should be able to finish this bit off, and then we can go and get the cultivator and bring that one back up, which means that in tomorrow's episode we should hopefully be in a position where we can actually start laying down the concrete. We can get the concrete spread right the way across here, and then it can normally, if you're laying a yard, you want to leave it at least a week before you start driving on it, and that's actually going to work out quite nicely, because it's going to be, well, it should be long enough between the end of tomorrow's episode and the beginning of next week. Should be long enough for the concrete to go off, which is absolutely perfect. That does work out quite nicely, I think. So we'll just get this bit here finished. I'm just going to do one more sort of round around the outside. It does mean having to turn the corner with the plough, which is not ideal. However, it is entirely possible. I have seen this done several times. I still get people telling me you cannot plough around a corner. You can plough around corners, it just makes a dreadful mess. If you go around a tight corner, it doesn't plough it very well at all, and you have to work it with the cultivator quite a bit. And also it does put an awful lot of strain on the actual plough itself. It does produce a huge amount of strain on the plough, and it is a genuine struggle for the thing to get round there. The main reason that you don't plough around corners is for those two reasons. It's if you're ploughing around the corner, it's not taking all of the soil and doing it properly, or it's if you're ploughing like trying to turn the other way, it becomes even more difficult. And it's sort of doing too much. It's churning it up. So you're not left with a good finish, and you've got a lot of work you've got to do with the cultivator in order to be able to get yourself at least a semi-decent finish on it. And then the other reason is ploughing around a corner puts a tremendous amount of strain on the plough itself. And you do run the risk, as you're going around a corner, of actually breaking the plough in half. I have seen it once. I've not actually seen it happen, but I've seen the plough afterwards where someone was ploughing. It was basically, you do the headlands on the field where you're going around the outside of the field after normally you plough the middle of the field, you do the headlands last. Normally, not always, but normally. And so this person, he ploughed most of the field and he was going around the headlands, and what a lot of farmers will do is that they will, just for the headland, is they will go round the corners. Now, not really sharp corners, but they will sort of go round a fair curve. It saves a lot of time. Just pulling it round the corner rather than lifting out and starting new lines all the time, it saves a tremendous amount of time when you're working out those last little bits of the field. Unfortunately, the corner he went round was just a little bit too much for the plough to be able to take, and it snapped the plough clean in half. It was a 6-furrow reversible plough. He had 2 furrows on the tractor and 4 furrows on the ground in the field still. It completely broke it in half. Ripped it right in half. He said it went off with a mighty bang. He said absolutely scared the life out of him. It's like a gunshot. He said it was just like a gun going off, just this bang. And he said he ducked down. He thought someone was shooting at him for a minute, and he said it was probably the biggest scare that he'd had for the year. This thing just went off with this huge, loud, reverberating bang. And then it echoed with the metal as well. The metal on both sides of the plough sort of did it as well. And it's just this tremendous noise. And it completely split the thing right in half. And he is there. And I seen pictures of it in the field. And I did see it back in the yard in 2 pieces. And you've got this plough 4 furrows stuck in the ground, and they pretty much stayed where they were. It's just as he was trying to lever it around the corner, and yeah, that was it. It was game over after that. There was no going back after that. He was very, very skilled at welding, and he did manage to weld his plough back together. But it did occasionally, the weld line would start to break, because obviously once it's gone, you do start to have problems. He did eventually manage to get it to sort of hold together well enough. You put all kinds of plates and reinforcing on it, and eventually it was all right. But he did have an awful lot of work involved with getting that plough repaired, and it always makes me laugh. So it is possible to plough around a corner, but there can be consequences if you try to go too sharp on your corners. So yeah. I know for a fact that it is possible to be done. I've seen it done loads of times. However, you may have your plough trying to turn itself into some sort of gun as the thing snaps in half and completely breaks up, never to be used again. Although actually, well, I say never to be used again. It snaps in half, and then you've got an awful lot of welding to do before you can use it again. I think in the end, he sat that plough in his shed for quite a while, and he borrowed a plough off his neighbour or something. His neighbour did point out that if he broke his plough, he'd be buying him a new one and not just sending him a welded job. And so there was a little bit of ribbing over this, because I've never heard of it happening anywhere else. I've never heard of the plough actually breaking. I think he probably had. I mean, the plough was old. Granted, and it probably had stress on there already. It was probably already starting to get weak in certain points or something, I don't know. But anyway, it went bang. Plough broke right in half. Absolutely brilliant. I really wish that I could have actually heard it, though. That would have been brilliant. Anyway, I have just about run out of time for this week. For today's episode, we're going to just finish off this ploughing at the beginning of next episode if we don't have time today, and then we're going to get the cultivator here. We're going to cultivate up this little section, and then we can actually get the concrete poured and all leveled out across the yard, and that will be that job done. We've also got, and the tank is empty, we've only got 8% of fertilizer left. So what we might actually do at the beginning of the episode, before we pour the concrete, we might actually have to go and get a lorry load of fertilizer and seed. We've got 4 pallets of seed back here, so I'm thinking that we'll go and get 6 pallets of fertilizer and another 3 pallets of seed or something like that. I don't want to spend a fortune on it, but I do need to get enough. 4 pallets. Well, we get 5 pallets of fertilizer, because that will be just enough to fill up the truck. Let me just lower that one down there. And then we've got 4 pallets of seed. So if I just got 1 pallet of seed, that would be enough to completely refill the truck. It'd be 5 ton in, yeah, 5,000 litres of each, and that'd be enough. So we will do that tomorrow, and then we'll see about pouring concrete here in the yard after we've done the cultivating of it. But anyway, my weekly question for this week is, at the top of the map, we're going to be making that new field very soon. That is going to be our next major task after planting and stuff is finished. And we are going to have to be a little bit careful around the fields up there, but yes, that is our next major task. So if we're doing that, what do you want me to do with the trees? We've got 2 options. We can either harvest the trees and then sell the logs just as they are and try to get the money for them like that, or we can shred up every single tree that we get, turn the whole lot into one massive, great big pile of wood chips, and then sell the wood chips afterwards for the best price that we can get wherever we're getting wood chips sold. So it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Do you want me to sell some of the timber as logs, or do you want me to this time shred everything up and turn it into wood chips and then play with a huge pile of wood chips? And I'm just going to bring that one, but I don't know what I am doing here. My driving is absolutely terrible today, it really is. I should have backed that way differently than that. Anyway, if you enjoyed the episode, please head down below and give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me, get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar, goodbye, and see you later.